What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of KYP Podcast.
Know your personnel.
We got a big-time episode coming in today. We have Greg Van Roten. He's the starting right guard on the New York Jets. Rudy, who would have thought a couple weeks ago that we would have current starters in the NFL during the season? This is getting crazy.
Well, we do things a little different over here at KYP, and I know this one is a lot more personal for you and Luke, the hometown hero.
Exactly, yeah. I've always been a big Jets fan, so this really got me fired up to be on here. And we couldn't do it without the fans. Everyone, thanks for subscribing, watching the videos, listening on Spotify, Apple Music. Know Your Personnel podcast. It's on Amazon now. It's on everything. Wherever you're going to search it, keep watching. If you have any specific guests you'd like to have us on, just let us know. I'm rambling right now. Rudy, let's jump right into the interview.
Let's do it.
We are super excited for the guest that we have on today. He's a Rockville Center legend. Pretty smart guy, too. He played for UPenn. He's a 6-year NFL vet. He plays for my very favorite team, the New York Jets. Starting right guard, Greg Van Roten. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Greg.
And yeah, Greg, we had to bring in your boy Luke for this interview. Rudy's running a little late, but it couldn't have worked out better. You know, a couple hometown kids come together, talk about your pro career.
Yeah, I've known Luke a long time. We've been same town, played basketball against each other together, and then we're also beach cabana neighbors down at Point Lookout.
Absolutely, and the beach is a big part of my life, so that's pretty important. But also, Greg used to drive me home from high school sometimes from football practice, as we did play football together, and those are some pretty exciting rides home.
I don't really see that, Luke. Your stature doesn't really match up next to Greg's. But Greg, to kick off, we always like to ask the hometown question. All right, so I'm starving right now. If I showed up in Rockville Center, Baldwin area, where are you taking me to eat? What's the spot that I have to hit?
I am very partial to Greystone Deli, just because my neighbors were the owners growing up in Rockville Center, and I used to frequent that establishment, and it helped me grow into my body, let's just say. As an offensive lineman, it's important to eat food.
What's that go-to order for you if we show up there? What do you recommend? What are you getting? I have a pretty big appetite. I don't know if I can hang with you, but what would you recommend?
I love their ranch chicken hero. Just chicken cutlet, provolone, bacon, and ranch dressing on a hero.
It's class. I'm with it. I'll have to give it a try next time in RVC.
I actually was thinking, I'm surprised Greg went deli. I thought if he went deli, he was going to go Farring's, because for me, I don't know, I'm a big Farring's guy in the area, and those chicken cutlet sandwiches are next level big. But
it's a little far,
don't get you there.
Greystone's right down the block.
Yeah.
So Greg, we're on the topic of eating. Were you always a big guy? When you were playing football, youth football and whatnot, Pee-wee, were you always the biggest guy in the field, or was this kind of a late growth spurt?
I was always tall, but I wasn't really very, very big until, the latter half of high school. I grew up playing youth football, and I was bigger than kids my age. I did play offensive line, 4th, 5th, 6th grade. Then I got to middle school and I actually played quarterback for 2 years. And I thought I was going to play quarterback in high school, but that's when I started growing into myself, as I like to say. And, just offensive line made the most sense in one of my career.
And as a Jets fan, I hope this does not happen, but if we have a couple injuries, I will not be afraid to call Adam Gase and say to put Greg on the center.
Fellas!
Yeah. No, if that happens, we got some serious problems. So hopefully it doesn't need to come to that.
All right, so we're back. We had Luke in for a minute. Rudy came back. He had to work a little late tonight. Rudy, just to catch you up, we're on with the legendary Greg Van Roten. Plays for my favorite team in the entire world, the New York Jets. Greg was just talking about if it's an absolute emergency. He actually said it wouldn't happen, but in case of emergency, he did play quarterback growing up. So, if Sam Darnold goes down, Flacco, Super Bowl winning Joe Flacco, I don't know. We could be running the option there.
How long ago?
That didn't happen.
What grade was that you did play quarterback in?
7th and 8th.
Were you
always outside middle school? Spartans.
I'm assuming you always been a bigger dude too. So how did that look? you were probably bigger than the center. In width.
I was bigger than some of the offensive linemen. Yeah.
Right.
Bigger than some of the O linemen, but I could throw the ball, so they decided to put me back there. And our best play was obviously quarterback sneak. It didn't matter if we had 1 yard or 8 yards. I was probably going to get it.
Just running up the gut.
Yeah, I could imagine. 7th, 8th grade, Jesus, gives kids nightmares.
You get into your high school years at the famed Chaminade High School, home of a ton of legends, Bill O'Reilly, producer Luke Wandrich. Was college football on your mind the whole time, or was this kind of something that was fun that, ultimately turned into a potential scholarship?
I almost quit football my freshman year, actually, because I had played quarterback in middle school and I wanted to play in high school. And I didn't want to go to Chaminade at first. I wanted to go to my, local high school in Southside. And my older brother had gone to Chaminade. My parents said, give it a shot. If you like it, stay. If you don't like it, you can leave. So, I lost that argument and I ended up going to Chaminade. And, freshman football tryouts, I go to throw the ball, try with the quarterbacks. There's like 12 other guys doing it. And because I was so big, before I even got to throw a ball, the head coach was like, you go over and play offensive line. So my dad picked me up from practice that day, and I was like, I don't want to play anymore. I want to play quarterback. I want to go to Southside. And my dad's like, not quitting. Just, you played offensive line before. You're good at it. Just stick with it. See if you like it. So glad my parents, didn't let me quit day one. And I'm glad that coach moved me to O-line because, here I am all these years later, still doing it.
Right, that's such a selfless position too, playing on the line. I think more than any other sport, position-wise, like you can't think of any position that gets less credit than the offensive or defensive line. Well, especially the offensive line, man.
Yeah, it's if you like basketball, we're just the guys that like to set the picks. But we're not getting the roll, we're not getting the ball. We're just doing it so other guys can shine.
But at least the dudes that set the pick get the dunk every now and then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We get to spike it if we score a touchdown.
There's nothing better than a big guy touchdown celebration.
There is.
Yeah,
there is.
So, what years did you start to gain college notoriety? Like, what age were you getting the letters? And we had Jordan Todman on, a former NFL player, and he said there's such a difference between the letters and the actual offers. Mm-hmm. So what kind of schools were coming at you? What schools were heading over to Chaminade to check you out in person?
First of all, being like a college football coach and trying to recruit high school kids just sounds like a nightmare because
so many players too. Yeah.
There's so many kids, so many high schools, so many people play football. So it feels like, your junior year, you get thousands of letters from like every school, and they're literally just like, hey, like if you're interested, like let us know. And Chaminade's pretty good, like academic school. So it's a lot of those, Northeastern, like private schools, like NESCAC, Ivy League,
right.
Patriot League, Colonial Athletic League. So it's all just that like, Northeastern United States kind of smaller schools.
And what jumped out about Penn? What made you want to go there? Was it a fun official visit? We always like to talk about official visits. The basketball ones seem to be the craziest, but what was that visit like?
So when I finally did get offered from Penn, I did go on a visit there, and two of my high school teammates actually were on a visit with me. And one of our hosts was a guy that went to Chaminade, and he was like 3 years older than us. So I think it was just like being with people I already knew and people who had been through a similar high school experience as me, just made it more comfortable and feel more like a natural fit. So, the official visit, it's Philadelphia. It's like December, whenever it is, early January. So it's not like the best weather. So it's like cold. Philly's just got, a rep as a city is, tough kind of people, working class, blue collar. So like we went to like Dave and Buster's. I think we went to like a Penn basketball game. And then, you have the bar scene that, you can go to if you're of age, which you're not in high school.
Did you go?
Still a really fun time. And, just one of the things like, I love this place, and I want to go here. So after my visit, it was pretty much a done deal.
Greg, did you go to the bar on your visit?
I honestly don't really remember. I think we went to a house party. I think one of my buddies went to the bar, but I remember I made it back to my hotel room, and that was the most important thing.
That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What were some of the other schools that were at the top of your list before you picked Penn? Like, if you had a top three, what were the top three schools?
Honestly, I was not like super sought after. I wasn't very highly recruited. If I didn't go to Penn, I probably would have ended up at like a D3 school. University of Chicago was very interested, like Tufts, so schools like that. And Penn was just the best, highest level of football, and it's an Ivy League school, and I had an opportunity to get into the Roten School of Business. So, those factors made it kind of an easy decision. Like, if I can get into this school, I'm going to go to this school. It's not like I was like, I don't know, Penn or wherever else. So it was just one of those things where it seemed like kind of meant to be, just based on their willingness to bring me in.
That's what's so wild to me, that there are so many under-recruited football players. Like, when you think about, we'll say yourself, put you in the same category as Antonio Brown, J.J. Watt, all those guys, weren't getting
Antonio, J.J., Greg. I love it.
They weren't getting those premier offers. And, we cover basketball a lot on this podcast, and those kids are famous from the 8th grade. That's why you really never know who's going to, ultimately make it to the NFL.
It's kind of weird too, Icy. You say that, right? So we had Jordan Tallman on. Like, we didn't really talk about it when he was on. He had like 4 kids on his team that played ACC, SEC football from a little town in Dartmouth, and they weren't like kids that you heard of. They were always in the newspapers. They just went to a camp or two, tested well, played well. One kid ended up at Georgia, played in the league for a little bit. Another kid ended up at BC, and it was like, holy shit, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's just like recruiting is so not what you think it would be. Like, I feel like statistics mean very little for high school and college kids. They just want to see your athleticism, what body type you are, if you're football, like how's your football IQ, and honestly, like specifically going from like college to pro, it's a lot about like your pedigree, because if you're a scout and you're looking at guys in the SEC, you kind of know what you're getting. Like, you know this is like a trusted source that you can pull players from. But when you start looking at those smaller colleges, those 1AAs, 2s, and 3s, it's harder to kind of judge how that's going to translate. So you really have to be comfortable as a scout recommending a player from a quote unquote lower tier, because if you miss and you're wrong, like, it looks bad because you missed on the guy that might have had lower upside but is more solid.
Right.
I want you to be 100% honest with us right now. So you're at UPenn, you're in the Wharton School of Business. Your mind at that current time, are you thinking, I'm going to have a great finance job in New York City, I'm going to take the LIRR from Rockville Center and wear a suit every day? Or are you thinking, I'm about to strap it up on Sundays? What was your plan at that point in life?
I think I had like a moment towards the middle of my senior football season that fall where I thought that playing the NFL was a possibility.
Is that late? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ivy League football. We're not playing ACC or Pac-12 or anything like that. It's like, you got to be realistic of where you're at. So I'm playing Ivy League football. I'm playing at a high level. I'm doing pretty well. But you're not playing the world's best competition. It's competitive football, but everyone's pretty much on the same playing field. And I think now you're finding that there are good players in the Ivy League. I think there's like something like 26 guys on NFL rosters, like practice squad or active, from the Ivy League right now. But yeah, I mean, it's just like towards the middle of my senior season, I was like, all right, I'm playing pretty well. And I'm looking at the guys that are being highly recruited from like the Auburns and the Georgias and the Alabamas. I'm like, they're not much bigger than me. They're not much faster than me. They're just playing a different conference. So why can't I play at the next level?
Was there anything about the Ivy League that's probably better prepared you for the NFL? Or you think you had an upper hand because you played at an Ivy League school, or just because you got an Ivy League education?
I think the education obviously helps, right? Because it says that you have the intelligence to be able to be competent in a high stress pressure environment. Because when you're a student athlete at an Ivy League school, you're actually a student athlete. You know what I mean? Like, you actually have to go to class. You have to pass your classes to stay eligible. Like, they have tutors and stuff, but it's just kind of the bare minimum. Like, there's a lot expected of you as a player. And so when you go to the NFL and your job is football, you have a lot more time to dedicate towards your craft versus college, where I have football a couple hours a day, but I also have class a couple hours a day, and then I have lifting, and then I have training, and I also had work study jobs. So it's like, I don't even know how I did it, honestly, looking back. But so you kind of learn time management. And then the other thing about playing football in the Ivy League is that the professors and the other students really don't care that you play football. That's not like wow, like you're a football player. Like, they don't put you on a pedestal. So you're kind of used to grinding, I guess, is the best way to put it. And that's how you survive at the highest levels of anything, is like just putting your nose down and grinding and being okay with that monotony.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So after your senior season ends, do you sign with an agent immediately and start doing your pro day stuff, or what was your course of action there?
So I reached out to some agents who were not interested in representing me.
You reached out to them. That is different.
Yeah, well, because I wanted to do it, and I didn't know how it worked. And I was naive enough too that I thought, well, if I'm good enough, the NFL will find me, and that's just not the case. So I did start training right away for pro days, but I didn't have an agent at the time. And then I think the end of February, I did a regional combine, which is I pay to go to, and it was actually at the Jets facility in Jersey. So I just drove down there from Penn. It was a one afternoon workout. You do it's like a mini combine. You do some of the drills, not all of them. They record everything. So it's at least some kind of legit database for you to be in. And I did well there. And then the next thing is you get ready for your pro day. So our pro day was, I think, mid-March. And it was me and a couple other guys on my team, and then a lot of local colleges like Villanova, Lafayette, some smaller colleges. But we came to Penn. We had a pro day there. And we only had a scout from the Eagles and a scout from the Montreal Alouettes, the CFL. So it wasn't some big thing, but I had a good day there. And it was just another opportunity to have numbers that you couldn't dispute. You know what I mean? They're recorded by an official NFL scout. So they're in that database. So you're not just oh, I said I ran, this number, or I benched this number. And it's yeah, but we can't corroborate it. So that was helpful in getting my foot in the door in the NFL.
I want to take a time out real quick, Rudy. I just want everyone that's listening right now, thousands, millions of people, however many people are watching this interview. We're on with a 6-year NFL veteran that went for his own agent, found his own pro day. So you never know. Just keep working out there. This little inspiration for you right there. Back to the regular schedule.
That's what you call got it out the mud. It's actually very impressive. Where I come from, we sell that, man. That motherfucker got it out the mud. That's impressive, bro.
No, 1,000%. I couldn't agree more. So how'd you find yourself in Green Bay? How did that come to be?
So pro day comes and goes. Draft comes and goes. And right after the draft, literally the minute the draft ends, teams will start calling preferred free agents. Hey, you didn't get drafted. We want to bring you in to our rookie mini camp. So that happened, and no calls. So at that point, I was all right, well, what's going on here? So that's when I finally was able to, get an agent, was at this point. And it was because I took all those numbers that I had for my combine and my pro day, and I took my college film, and I got the information of all 32 front offices. and just sent out my films, sent like emails, there was like Facebook messaging, official team accounts, just trying to like get somebody to look at my tape and my numbers and stuff. And then I got a call from the Chargers, the Jets, and the Packers. So I ended up going to minicamp with the Jets. Rex Ryan was the coach, and I literally was there for like 2 out of the 3 days because I think someone got hurt and they needed, a body, and I was in Philadelphia. I was really close. And then the next weekend, flew out to San Diego where the Chargers used to be, and same kind of deal, just like a camp body there. My flight home was like during the last practice, so it didn't really get serious looks. And at that point, like just graduated college, and Green Bay had invited me to their rookie camp, but it's only 2 weekends, so I didn't get to go to theirs. And they said they still wanted to work me out at some point, and they would let me know. So, OTAs come and go, and the summer starts, and I've just graduated. So I'm actually back at Chaminade High School, lifting, helping out their summer football program. And the day before training camp, I flew out to Green Bay for a workout. And, it was just me, the GM, O-line coach, like 15 scouts, personnel. And I went through a workout. And honestly, like after the workout, I was so shot, like just exhausted physically, emotionally, like mentally. I thought like, oh, that didn't go well. Like I just blew it. And I just remember them saying like, we really like you. We just don't have room on our 90-man roster right now for training camp, but we're going to keep you the night in the hotel, see what happens with guys' physicals tomorrow. So actually 2 guys ended up failing their physicals, and I was brought in for training camp. And then, just kind of gutted it out in training camp and made the practice squad.
Out the mud. So the first time you see Aaron Rodgers, do you do the discount double check? How does that work? How excited were you? How cool did you keep it?
I think I kept it pretty cool. But, walking into that locker room when I did back in 2012, they're just like fresh off of the Super Bowl the year before. It's like a iconic locker room. I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least 3 Hall of Famers that come off of that team. Aaron's a quarterback. The wide receiver room was ridiculous. It was like Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, James Jones, Randall Cobb, like all those guys on the same team. Then you have Jermichael Finley at tight end. You got some great offensive linemen. Jeff Saturday had just signed there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you got, BJ Raji, AJ Hawk, Clay Matthews, Charles Woodson. So it's just like literally like a stupid roster. And it's Green Bay, which is just this iconic football franchise, like the Mecca. And I'm just, a kid from New York who probably shouldn't be there. But I'm there, and I'm just like, wow, these guys are my teammates. These are my work associates now. And it was surreal at the time, and it's still surreal looking back on it.
Rudy, I could have told you that. Greg's from New York, man. He's a cool customer. He's not going to go in there fanboying. How we roll in New York, play cool always.
But hey, the first time you see me, Icy, you couldn't keep a straight face, bro.
Yeah, right. So I have a question. Green Bay. When I think of Green Bay, I'm not a Giants fan. I'm a Jets fan. But I always think about Tom Coughlin just turning purple with that cold out there and that famous game. How cold is it actually? And as an offensive lineman, you're just not allowed to wear long sleeves, right?
Yeah, it's like the unwritten thing up there. You don't wear sleeves, but there's definitely ways to kind of finesse that. It gets very cold. I remember my second year, we had a playoff game there against Harbaugh's 49er team, and he almost like died at halftime because he wore like a dry suit underneath his like clothes, and he like was just almost sweat to death. But it was like -6 with the wind chill, and you have like a thermal mock short sleeve, and a lot of guys will wear those like elbow sleeves, and they'll take their wrists really high, and you got the gloves on. You wear the thermal pants underneath, and then they have space heaters, and you got like chicken soup on the sidelines. You got hand warmers. They have all these things on the sideline just to keep you, warm. And the trick is you put like Vaseline on any exposed skin to keep it like from breathing or getting exposed to the wind or the cold.
Wow, never knew that. I didn't even know you could eat on the side. Actually, Mark Sanchez ate the hot dog one time on the sideline. That's the only memory I have.
You can't eat. Chicken soup is like a broth, so technically
it's a broth, right?
It looks like a drink. And they have like hot apple cider too.
Okay, fair.
That's a solid meal.
What was your welcome to the NFL moment when you were in Green Bay? Was there something that stands out, whether it's on the field, off the field, something that just jumps out to you?
I have two moments. My first moment where I knew I belonged was literally my first padded training camp practice. I was playing guard, and BJ Raji was the nose, and we were running zone away, so I had to like cut him off. So snap the ball, I go to reach him, and I like end up putting him down on the ground. So maybe he tripped, I don't know, but like all I knew was I knocked him down, and I got back.
Sounds like a pancake to me. Sounds like a pancake block.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you said it, not me. But I get back, and my O-line coach is like, "That's a big time block. That's some real football right there." So like, all right, like cool, like I can do this. And then part two of that was, during training camp practices, you always do one-on-one pass rush with the defensive line. So I think that training camp, like I didn't lose a rep of one-on-one pass rush. So you get like one or two at practice. And I remember like feeling like I did okay, and just remember everyone else being like, "This is a big deal. Like, you did a really good job." So all right, cool. Like whatever. Like I'm just trying to make the team. And then these guys are really good moment was once the season had started. We had some defensive packages where like Clay Matthews would stand up and he'd stand over the guard. So he would pass rush over me sometimes. And he hit me with some kind of like hand swipe move where I went to like punch him and he wasn't even there anymore. And I just remember him going, "Best hands in the business." I was like, all right, like, try not to miss again. But yeah, man, it was definitely some cool experiences.
Damn, I forgot Clay was over there too, man. That is a star-studded group, man.
Yeah.
Star-studded. Rookie duties, man. What were your rookie duties over in Green Bay? Did you have a vet, like a specific vet that you were assigned to?
No. So the way it works is you're just the rookie for the room. So like I'm the O-line's rookie, and I was lucky because I had two other guys. And we were lucky because none of us were high draft picks. If you're like a first round pick, like they're gonna bang you for everything they can, fines, dinners, all that stuff. But I was undrafted, so they were a little bit easier on me. But you got to do stuff like make the coffee, and I actually had to make coffee, and I had never drank coffee before, and we didn't have like a Keurig yet. So I had to learn how to make coffee, and every meeting they'd come in, tell me what they want, and I'm like a little barista, pouring coffee, cream, sugar, bringing it to them, and all that stuff.
How good did your coffee end up though? After a couple of months, did you get pretty good
enough at it? Good enough that the next year we made the rookie get a Keurig. So, but yeah, and then like Saturdays you got to bring in donuts for the O-line. During the week, it's just if they need to do something, you go do something. You got to pick up food for the plane if they're traveling. You got to go pick up food. Big thing that offensive line rooms like to do is decorate the room. So once October 1st hits, it's all Halloween, and it's like Halloween, like candy at everyone's desk, decorations on the wall. We had a smoke machine in Carolina last year.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like I have a skeleton in the Jets room this year. I call him Mr. Bones. He has his own chair. You can't move Mr. Bones. You can't touch him. And if he's in your seat, you just got to find somewhere else to sit. And then November is Thanksgiving, and then December is like Christmas. And if you have any Jewish guys, we get a menorah, but not typical. Just like stuff like that to kind of lighten the mood. And you get kind of judged by the older guys because it's just really about like they don't know you, and they want to see how you work. So it's kind of a way to just see how guys respond to being the low man on the totem pole, and see if you can kind of trust their work ethic. Like, hey, we need you to make coffee. It's like, oh, you don't really care. It's like, oh, I didn't get it. It's like, all right, well, you don't really care then.
Right.
How much you decorate the room shows like how much you care. So it's just like stuff like that.
That makes sense.
I have a question that I feel like the casual fan definitely doesn't know, and I would consider myself a big fan, and I still don't know this. So you're undrafted, you move out to Green Bay, everyone just pictures like everyone just moves into a mansion. What are the living situations like? Do they put you in like a condo that they recommend? Are you living near other players? Green Bay doesn't seem like a big city. What's like the like quality of life at that point?
So some teams have living for the players, like the Jets. They own, the hotel right next to their practice facility. It's like they'll put guys up there, and I think there's a minimum amount of time that they have to cover before you have to start paying. But most of the time, it's just kind of on your own. Like you can live wherever you want to live. And in Green Bay, I had a condo like 20 minutes away from the stadium, and it was like $900 a month for a 2-bedroom, utilities included kind of deal. Like it's crazy but it's Green Bay, Wisconsin, so it's not like you're trying to live in New York City. But yeah, man, like Seattle had their own. I was there briefly for an off season. They had their own little studio apartments for guys in the off season and training camp. So it just kind of depends on which team you're on. But Green Bay was, it was different, especially being from Long Island, growing up in New York, going to school in Philly, and then you're in Wisconsin. It was a little bit of a culture shock for me because I wasn't used to living next to a farm, or I didn't know what a cheese curd was, and stuff like that.
Wisconsin has those shitty accents too. I hate their accents.
They're nice people, man. They're good people.
Yeah, I'm sure they're great people, but I still don't like how they talk.
One of my best friends played for the Green Bay Blizzard, and he loved his time in Green Bay. He said they're just they treated them well out there. So the person that everybody wants to know about, when I told my friends that I was interviewing you, a lot of people want to know about Aaron Rodgers. What was he like to work with, day by day? And, you're in such close contact as the offensive lineman with the quarterback. What was he like?
His attention to detail was something that immediately stood out. When you prepare for a game, typically, Wednesday mornings, centers and the quarterbacks will meet and just kind of go over some of the base pressures that you might see from the defense you're going to play that week. So, you sit in there, you look at the tape, and Aaron just kind of knew how he wanted the things to look and where he wanted us to go and how he wanted to be hot if we were going to be hot. And, that was my first experience in the NFL. So seeing that was just impressive. And like you kind of get why he's so successful just based on that little experience, like, and how he prepares and just his knowledge of football in general and like specifically the offense that he is working in. And then he's a ball buster. Like he's a funny guy, but like he does it in a way that's like endearing, and it just wants you to like make sure you know your stuff. So he'd always like ask you questions, try and confuse you, and just like but in like a joking way. And he's a good dude, and I was glad I got to play with him.
It's weird because at one time there was certain media members that those media personalities that try to point Aaron Rodgers to being like an asshole for whatever reasons, or someone that doesn't really lead. He kind of just lets his team rock. He doesn't lead. And then what you're saying is the complete opposite. And that's what I kind of feel just watching them play the game of football too, more along the lines of what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'll say this about the media as far as like their access to NFL locker rooms and all this. Like they're pretty good for the most part, but like they just don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. It's all like hearsay and all this stuff because they're out there during practice for like the first couple periods, so they don't really see anything of substance. And then especially this year, like they have like no access to a locker room because of coronavirus. So like in years past as well, just kind of like overheard conversations, or if you got someone to say something incendiary, which like never really happened. And some markets are more divisive than others. And for a small market like Green Bay is actually a pretty divisive market. And then like New York is kind of the same way, but just like a much larger scale. Like if you lose one game in New York in any sport, like the world is ending and you got to fire everybody and start over. And like, this guy stinks. So I don't really put too much stock in what the media says is going on in the locker room because they really don't know because they don't have the access.
Right.
But they are kind of pretending that, not pretending, but like it's their job to kind of know what's going on with the team. So if they hear anything, they got to report it. So I get that part of it too.
I have a question about. I was going to ask this a little bit later on, but we're talking about the media right now. When we hear unnamed sources, are there guys on the team, like, is it a text message that transpires when you're friends with a certain member of the media? Like, the people that are basically snitching behind the scenes, how is that going down? It's not going down, like, is it over the phone? Do you have any idea how that happens?
I have no idea, like, specifically how it happens. But I've, like, you hear things like a guy will text someone or a phone call, or sometimes, a lot of times, it's usually from the team side, not really the players. It's front office or someone trying to either advance their position or make a specific player look bad to hurt their stock. It's just like the behind the scenes politics is definitely a real thing in the NFL and every sport.
That's wild. That's something that I really don't think a lot of fans, can comprehend. And like you said, especially living in New York, if I go to work, I just hear fire this person, and it's from a lot of uneducated sources. So we had Green Bay. Then you went up to Canada. What was that like? Were you able to keep your confidence in yourself? Or was it wavering at some points? And were you thinking, like, am I cut out for the NFL?
So how I got to Canada was my rookie year in Green Bay was practice squad. Then I made the active roster after, there was an injury. And then the next year, 2013, I made the team out of training camp. And I got hurt, I think it was week 4. And I ended up going on IR. So didn't play all season and go on IR, get cut. I got signed by Seattle, do OTAs with them, training camp, 2014. After the third preseason game was released and was nowhere, I had one workout with the Vikings. But they went with a younger guy and I was 23. So yeah, nice. And then that was a tough year because it was just I was just really working out. I was back at Chaminade coaching that season. Just trying to figure out, how to get back in the NFL. And since I had been released, a bunch of CFL teams were contacting me, and Toronto was just one of those teams that kept coming after me. And I wanted to give it until the spring because their season doesn't start until June. To kind of see if I can get picked up for OTAs, sign a futures contract with the team, or what have you. So OTAs are coming up, and they have this new NFL veteran combine in Tempe at the Cardinals facility. So I qualified for that, and I was able to go there. I think it was 100 guys that got to go, and you just do another little workout in front of some scouts and general managers and stuff. And it coincided with their head coach, GM meeting that they have every year, and it wasn't very well received. It was a one and only type deal. But I did really well there. So I knew that I still, was athletic enough and big enough and whatever to play football. And the Eagles wanted to bring me in for their rookie minicamp, but the NFLPA blocked it because I had 2 years of service, so I wasn't technically a rookie anymore. So at that time, it was all right, all my leads have dried up north of the border that wants me to play, so this might be a good opportunity to go north and get some film. And to answer your question, I think playing in Canada really helped build my confidence to know that I could still play football. And I went there, started, played at a high level. I was a CFL all-star, played 4 different positions, and just knew all right, I can do this. So it's just at that point trying to get back in was the issue.
Were one of those positions quarterback? I'm just kidding.
No.
Just kidding. But no, that answer really doesn't surprise me just based off how you even got to the NFL. The proactiveness that you showed to hit agents up, to send your videos to teams. So, I mean, that's a great answer, man. It's not really surprising either. It speaks credit to you.
Yeah, it's just honestly, the way that I ended up there, I came off an injury. I went to a team. I got cut before, training camp ended. I worked out for another team. They didn't want me. I did a veteran combine. nothing happened. So I was like pretty low, like my first year in Canada. I was like not in a great like mental headspace. So like, damn, like this is, you just get like knocked down, knocked down, knocked down. But I knew that I could do it, and I just needed to like get that like breakthrough, have that opportunity to be able to do it. And Canada, playing up there in Toronto, like allowed me to do that, and it was like fun. Like I had fun playing football. I got my confidence. I played well after an injury, after getting cut, and like all this stuff. So I just knew that I could do it, and I just wanted another opportunity in NFL.
So you get to the Panthers, man. Sign to the Panthers, and you play every single snap, man. That is a turnaround. That's like most improved NFL player type shit right there. How do you feel now that you're back in the NFL?
Yeah, honestly, getting back to that point was a journey too, because my first year in Canada ends, and I signed like a 1-year contract with a 1-year option, and it's not my option; it's a team option. So the year ends. I'm a CFL All-Star, and a couple NFL teams want me to work out for them. The Toronto GM says I can't. Like, you played too well, so the team picks up my option. So I got to go play another year in Canada, and I was like pissed about it at first, and I just kind of had to accept. This is where I'm at. Like, you signed a contract, you got to honor it. Just get another year to get film, and when you're done in Canada, like, you'll have those opportunities. You see that teams are paying attention. So my second year ends. It's like December. I go work out for the Bears. They're impressed, but they're looking for a guard tackle. They see me as like a center guard. It's like, all right. So then I go work out for the Jets. Different coaching staff, same kind of thing. They're impressed. No offers. So then my head coach in Canada takes the quarterback's job in Jacksonville, gets me a workout there. I sign with Jacksonville. I'm there for a month, and then the draft comes. We have like 20 offensive linemen. I'm like, this is not good for me. There's way too many guys in this room. And the Monday after the draft, I show up. Hey, coach, want to see you. Bring your playbook. Yep, saw this coming. So it's like April 2017, and I'm a free agent again. But I'm coming off of an NFL roster. Even though it was only for a short stint, it still looks a little bit better than coming out of Canada and being unsigned. So that OTA period comes and goes, and then summer again, Chaminade, working out, coaching, and Buffalo calls me. They want to bring me in for a workout. Literally like 10 minutes after they called me, the Panthers called. They want to bring me in for a workout. So I go work out Buffalo 2 days before training camp. They like me, but they're going to sign a guy that they know. Just me and one other guy worked out. And then I go from Buffalo to Spartanburg, South Carolina, where the Panthers have their training camp. And I'm working out with 4 guys. 2 of them are rookies. One of them was on the team before. And it's the day before training camp. And I just had that moment where I was like, this is it. This is the last opportunity. It's like, you better make this team. So this is your Super Bowl workout. So I just had a really good workout, and they signed me. So it was just like a 1-year deal. And, they told me afterwards that they were going to sign the other guy, but I had such a good workout that they, brought me in, and I made the team from training camp. And in 2017, I was a backup and ended up playing like only 10 snaps as an offensive lineman. I did a lot of special team stuff, but it was like Monday Night Football. We're playing the Dolphins. Dominican Sue's a nose guard. I go in for the center who just got hurt. 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. Got a little bit of a scuffle with Sue. John Gruden's like announcing.
There we
and
go.
like from that moment, like the Panthers like trusted me. Like, all right, this is the guy that we can trust. He's okay. So I signed an extension, and like you said, 2018, come into training camp, and I was like still bottom of the totem pole depth chart, but there was a bunch of injuries, and like the day before our first preseason game against Buffalo, who the year before had signed somebody else, my coach said, hey, like, you're going to start tomorrow night. Like, I've seen guys take this opportunity and, hold on to it, never look back. Like, I think you have a really great opportunity. Like, play your balls off pretty much. So I did, and I held on to the job. And like you said, I played every snap, and I just feel like I've been getting better ever since.
This is exactly why we have this podcast. You know, if you just read about you like on high level, you just see, oh, play for this team, this team, this team. You don't see everything that goes into it and the hustle that you put on behind the scenes every time. The amount of times you said, went back to Chaminade, there's so many lesser men would have just called it quits, you know, or hung them up early, but you persevered through that.
You should get perseverance tattooed on your neck.
So from the outside looking in, obviously, Rudy and I are just journalists, so we aren't in the locker room. But what was the energy?
I'm no fucking journalist, Icy.
What was the energy of those Panther teams? You got Cam. Were you dabbing with him? You got McCaffrey. What's going on in the locker room? Who's the leader at that point in the locker room? And any fun stories about those guys?
Yeah, I feel like very lucky just to have played where I played when I played there. Like I said earlier, Green Bay, I felt like it's kind of like an iconic team. And then my first couple years with the Panthers was in that same vein of just like, holy shit, like it's Julius Peppers, Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Ryan Khalil, Greg Olsen. You know, you're just like, this is like a who's who of NFL like royalty. And then we draft McCaffrey, who is a stud. And it's just like, it was ridiculous, you know, the talent on that team. And, Cam was unlike anybody I'd ever met before, from just like physical stature, impressive human being, football IQ off the charts, work ethic was ridiculous. And, that was a fun like team to be on, fun time to be a Panther.
Instagram font is incredible. Now, what would you say the difference was between Cam and Aaron Rodgers?
I think the energy was different. Like Cam, super enthusiastic, always positive, just like having fun like a little kid. And Aaron, not that he's not positive, just like no one can match Cam's energy.
Right.
So like he's a different cat. You know what I mean? Like from the way he talks, dresses, the font that he types and writes in, he is like an eccentric dude. So it's hard to compare him to anybody really.
Right.
Did he ever try to give you any fashion advice during your time together?
He bought like fedoras for the O-line one year for Christmas. So that was the extent of the fashion advice that we received.
Did you wear it with the scarf underneath and tie it hair kind of like he does?
So that was like the next year. So I actually have, funny enough, it's not like a scarf, but it's reminding me of Cam, this little like babushka thing, you know? I don't know how he wears it. But.
Right.
So a lot of people stop me on the street and tell me that they think I'm Christian McCaffrey just looks-wise. What was it like? I actually get it a lot. Not as much more the physique than the actual
screen here
facially. But what's it like blocking for him? Is it significantly easier to block for a back like that, or do you feel more pressure? You're like, this guy is one of the best in the league.
I don't think you feel more pressure. I think it's definitely easier. Might not be the right word, but you just kind of like know where he's gonna be because he's so consistent. And that's super helpful as an offensive lineman because, you know, if we're running wide zone to the right and I'm thinking, all right, he's going to be here in a certain amount of time and he's not, like that's when bad stuff happens, holdings or your guy falls off and makes a play. But you just knew like if the hole's there, he's going to hit it. He's going to run it the way it's supposed to be run. And if he gets through, no one's catching him. And that's fun to block for. Like if you do your job, this guy can score a touchdown. And that's, you know, that's great.
And is he as cool as he seems? He seems like the coolest guy in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, it feels like he was made for, like, to be an NFL star, just based on, like, his parents are, his upbringing, how he carries himself. He's an all-time dude.
Been around the life.
Something that I want to circle back with. Rudy had asked about the gifts from Cam, did Aaron Rodgers ever get the offensive lineman any crazy gifts for the holidays or the end of the season?
No, nothing crazy. I actually think he might have gotten cowboy hats one year. I honestly can't remember. But Christian gave us a pretty sweet gift in 2018 when he broke all his records. It was like these big green eggs, the grills, so that was awesome. And then Cam gave us these like electric bikes that he would ride. So all the old linemen got electric bicycles. So we got some good gifts. So there's a good tradition of taking care of the O-line.
That's dope. I see. I'm gonna let you handle this next question, man, because you're the big Jets fan.
Yeah, so you're a hometown kid. Were you a Jets fan growing up?
Yeah, I was. That's why I didn't like to see Luke's little giant screensaver there.
So what did that feel like coming home?
Really quick, I have an appreciation for the Giants. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm sorry to say that, but let me tell you why. All right, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I live in New England. I hate the fucking New England Patriots. I hate them with a passion. So when the Giants beat them in 2 Super Bowls, it was like it was better than the Steelers winning the Super Bowl. It was different, man. So that's why I have appreciation for the Giants. Nothing against the Jets, but yeah, that's that.
And just for the record, I'm a Jets fan, and it's just the logo that happens to be on the Zoom account being used.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I feel sorry for you guys. I'm sorry.
So as the hometown kid, everyone says it's, their biggest dream to play for their childhood team, but with that comes so much added pressure. So what was it like coming back home? Obviously it's different this year with COVID, so it's not all your friends and family are at the game, but they're around, they're in the mix, they're checking in, they can watch regionally. How has it been so far for you?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like added pressure, but it's definitely a different feeling, because I think I would liken it to, and this is hard for most people to, kind of empathize with, but it's like when you play for a different team, you're like, you think of yourself as like a mercenary, like, oh, like I'm just, whatever. And now you come home and you play for a team you grew up with. It's like, there's a lot of emotional baggage with that. It's like, you grow up a Jets fan, now you're in the building, you see the posters of the players that you wore their jerseys when you were a kid. So it's like incredibly like personal, and you want to be that much more successful because it's like a part of who you are, and now you get to like add to that legacy. It's kind of crazy, honestly, to be in that position.
Yeah, this is getting me fired up right now, just thinking about me wearing a Chad Pennington jersey and picturing if I was to ever like lace him up at MetLife. A question about the team right now. Who would you say, not to put you on the spot, who would you say are some of the leaders in the locker room right now? Who's, the vocal guys, whether it's at halftime, before the game, who's getting everybody pumped up? And, who does everyone kind of turn to, whether it's a time of struggle or a time of success?
I think the most like constant voice is Steve McClendon. He's, the defensive lineman. He's a stud. He's been in the league a long time. He's seen a lot of stuff. And he just reminds me of like a preacher in the way he gets his message across and what he wants to say to the guys. Sam talks a lot, leads by example, good dude. We have a lot of guys across the board, position groups, like that are just, everyone's like a captain, everyone's a leader. And that's why I really like our locker room. Season's not going the way that we want it to go, but we have the right guys in this room and then on this team that I'm not, we're not going to go on 16. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to win some games here, and the league is so weird this year with all the coronavirus stuff that like anything can happen. Like you saw how Patriots, they're going to play Sunday Night Football. All of a sudden, their quarterback's out. The game gets pushed. Tennessee's game gets postponed. It's like you just got to stay healthy, and like you got a shot this year. So we're not hitting the panic button.
Right, and that's I was gonna ask and like kind of touch on that too, because from the outside looking in, you would think, all right, what's going on with the Jets? But you're actually in the trenches. The players know. The players can sense how the culture's going, or what's trending up, how you guys are gonna do moving forward. So that's pretty important. That's pretty good that you guys feel that. You feel positive about the season.
Yeah, it's not like one of those situations where we're losing games and like, man, what's happening? Like,
Right.
what's going on? It's like, it's pretty obvious. Like, we're just not playing smart. We're not executing. And, you know, we didn't have OTAs. We didn't have training camp. You know, neither did anybody else. But I feel like we have a lot of new starters across the board. You know, specifically the offensive line. You want to say that stuff doesn't matter. Like, oh, like, we'll be okay. You know, we're all veterans. Like, I said that too. But like, you do need those reps and you do need those live bullets to gel and get chemistry. And then you got to be healthy. Like, we haven't been super healthy up front. We got guys missing games and coming out. So it's hard, man. Football it's a brutal sport, and you just kind of got to weather the storm. And that's why you need the right people on your team, so that when, you know, times are tough, you can rally.
That makes me feel so much more reassured right now. I just, you know, I love hearing that there's not a panic button in the locker room. People aren't freaking out. Just, you know, obviously I don't need to tell you this. I like
you sound like you're freaking out right now, man.
I'm very
freaking out. Oh, like, we're good. Relax, bro.
I get excited about my Jets, man. So some other fun, like, random just offensive line questions that we have, because you guys are really the unsung heroes. What's like your daily diet like? How much are you actually eating and how is that monitored by the nutrition staff and everyone with the Jets?
All right, so this is like the science part of our job, right? It's like you got to eat a certain amount of food, but it can't be, you know, crap. You got to eat healthy so you feel good and that you're like have endurance and can play good. So like,
I'm trying to bulk up a little bit. I know I said McCaffrey, but I'm trying. Luke, if there's any way to expand my shoulders, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, I'll get that done.
Yeah, we'll work on that. I'll send you some stuff. But it's just like every year, you know, I get blood work done. They take my urine and they test it for like nutrient markers to see, you know, what I'm deficient in, what I have too much of, to see like your general health picture. And from that, they can recommend specific supplements to take, vitamins, foods to add into your diet. And then from there, you can kind of build a meal plan based on, you know, what you're trying to do. So for me, you know, I'm trying to maintain my weight and I'm always trying to convert fat into muscle. So I'm trying to like lean out. So like we have these pod machines here at the facility that like you get in, they measure your body fat. They can tell you, you know, you're this much lean mass, you're this much fat. And then from that, you can kind of tweak your diet a little bit more. And then we have a nutritionist who will make shakes for us, can help us meal plan. Some guys have specific food services that will make meals for them based on their dietary needs. And, you know, that's like, other than playing football, like the most important part of my job is like eating at the right times, taking the supplements when I'm supposed to, and just making sure I don't miss like a meal, because that's like a big deal for your body. And it's like, it can be exhausting, but like you get the hang of it and you get, you know, like anything else, you get into a rhythm and you get used to it.
As an offensive lineman, and I'm sorry, Jets fans, have you ever had a butt fumble moment?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a butt fumble. I definitely have my share.
Obviously not the butt fumble, but something along those lines.
I've had a few plays that I want back for sure. There's always, I feel like every game there's like one or two plays where you do something and it's just like, why did I do that? Like, you know, we played Thursday night. I took a set and I just went too flat and it was too far away from my center, and the 3 technique just spiked inside and I just completely whiffed. And it's like something that's like out of character for me, and it's like, damn it, like that is so frustrating because it's just completely in my control. It's just something you got to like get out of your game.
When something, I admittedly, I've never been in a scrum, you know, battling for a fumble. What's going on at the bottom of that pile? I've heard stories about people grabbing people's, you know what, I actually have a similar, see the pinky right there.
I don't know. Mine's pretty bad.
Oh, geez.
I'm kind of fucked up myself.
Yeah.
What's going on down there? Are people gouging people's eyes? I'm picturing it just goes full WWE down there.
It's exhausting, dude, because once that ball hits the ground, like the refs have no idea who has it. So if you can get it, you can get it. Like there's been sometimes I've gotten the ball when I wasn't even close to it when it hit the ground, and like they definitely had it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just like trying to squeeze that thing, get away from guys. You hear stories of things that happen. I don't know if they're true or not. I'm not one of those guys who does anything illegal, blow the belt, or in the face. I'm just trying to get the ball. So, but definitely they are something you don't want to get in too many during a game because one, it means the ball's on the ground a lot, and two, they're just so physically exhausting.
You can imagine the sounds that come out of those fumbles, just yelps and
you can hear them this year because there's no fans, crowd noise.
Right.
That was actually our next question.
Right.
Do you find it easier or tougher as an offensive lineman? Is it tougher to get jacked up for the game? But I assume like the snap count and everything is easier to hear.
It is, it's definitely tougher to get jacked up for the game because the fans are so important to that environment of game day, from like the tailgating just to like when you're getting to the stadium, you see the fans, it's kind of that like energy building, and then like the electricity surrounding like a kickoff is, it's insane, and that definitely helps wake you up if you're not already awake and get you ready to go. So they're definitely missed this year, and there are definitely like pros and cons as an offensive lineman to not having to deal with crowd noise. The pro is you can always hear the play. The con is that like if you don't vary snap count a lot, like the defensive linemen are getting kind of a feel for the rhythm of the quarterback. Like I saw a crazy stat. I think like Yannick Ngakoue has more sacks on the road than he does at home because he gets such a good feel for the quarterback's cadence when they're using it.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought about that. And something else we wanted to tap into quickly is social media. How is that as an athlete? Obviously I didn't play at a high level, but how does that weigh on players? Are you able to really just tune it out? Because especially with the New York media, there's no media like the New York media. They can be absolutely ruthless. Are you able to tune that out, or is that something that you still pay attention to somewhat?
I think it's hard to play in New York and be oblivious to what the New York media is saying. But yeah, like if you have a game or, you don't have to go on Twitter and read what people are saying about you. You can avoid it if you want to. So I think it's like helpful to tune out. And like I said before, like I don't put too much stock in that stuff anyway, because those people really don't know what they're talking about and what they're looking at. I play football. I've played in the NFL for a long time, and you could show me a clip of what someone's doing on defense, and I can tell you what's going on up front. But in the back end, some of the coverages these guys play are so complicated. I might not even know what I'm talking about. So I stay in my lane as far as what I'm talking about and what I know. And you got guys reporting for teams talking about, oh, this play call, that play call. But you don't know what you're looking at. Like I play the game, and sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking at. That's why I think, to go off on a tangent, the way that like some of the evaluation metrics like PFF, just like how I know that you watch a lot of film and like whatever, but you don't know what the play call is. You don't know what people are being coached. So it's not fair to slap a number on somebody and say like, this is this person's value. So I think it's just like a way for fans to engage more with the game, but like you just gotta take it with a grain of salt.
I want to give a special shout out right now to Mike Agresti, who's a Rockville Center native, Chaminade guy. I lived with him all of college, and by no means was he a fanboy, but this all comes full circle because every time you had something going on in your career, Greg, he would update me. And he's a gigantic Jets fan now, but so throughout, I feel like I've heard about you for legitimately, 9. We're going on 9 years right now, so it's all circle that we have you on the podcast. But shout out to Mike Agresti, who let me know about your career way before I would have originally.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, bud.
So, Rudy, any final questions for Greg?
No, I'm good, man. I appreciate you coming on, man, especially during your season, and definitely a different type of season that we're accustomed to, definitely that you're accustomed to. So we appreciate your time, my man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. It was fun.
Yeah, Greg, this was awesome, especially being a Jets fan and obviously, following you for the last 9 years at this point. Really appreciate you coming on. Awesome interview. You gave us some great insight that this is what we want people to hear, what actually goes on from the players right from the mouth themselves.
Hey, again, 2 tattoo ideas, perseverance on your neck and somewhere around maybe the forearm out the mud. Maybe
out the mud.
Think about it.
Run those by your family. Thanks for coming on, Greg.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Honestly, that interview turned out really good. I think Greg was super honest about everything. Obviously, it hit home for me that, he plays for the Jets. He starts with the Jets, my favorite childhood team. I love that he agreed that I look like Christian McCaffrey. I honestly, Rudy, in the streets of New York City, I honestly get that a lot.
Yeah, I look like Aaron Rodgers too, man.
What'd you think of the interview, Rudy?
No, I think he's I hope he takes the ideas for those tattoos serious, because he's literally he's an impressive dude that really grinded his way through, man. And it's nice to see that it's paying off right now for him.
I have one question. We're going completely off the rails right now. This is completely separate. Luke, can you judge who has a better haircut right now, me or Rudy?
I mean, if I'm just looking at the screen right now, it's probably that guy who's top right on mine, and I think it's actually me. And I haven't even got my hair cut in about 4 months.
The dude with the cat on his head? Look at that taper, bro. Look how that beard blends in. Hold on, Half Moon. No, that's not Jalen Rose. That's Brian Rudolph.
They're both fresh. I gotta say, Rudy's got a little more detail on his that may.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Know Your Personnel podcast. Follow it on everything. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Go watch it. We'll see you next week.
Shout out to the Jets.